A group of adventurers, elves, magic users, monsters to defeat. You'll recognize some of the classic fantasy elements, but we're far from Dungeons and Dragons. Here, characters are not there to increase their stats, to seek glory and fortune. No, here characters have answered a call from below, have decided to brave an horror they know they can't fully overcome. Heart is a fantasy horror RPG published by Rowan, Rook, and Deckard. The tone reminds me of the video game Darkest Dungeon. There is horror, but there's also humor, and part of the fun is to expect the worst for your characters. Heart takes place in the twisted dimension under the Spire, the setting of another RPG by the same team. The games share similar mechanics, but Spire focused more on politics. All characters in Spire are oppressed drow elves fighting the elfier establishment. In Art, you can choose to play a drow, but you can also play a human, an elfier, or a gnome. The choice of ancestry is there to help you build your character's background, but it doesn't have any mechanical incidents in the game. Next, you choose a calling, the reason why your character wants to explore the city below. Each calling provides one ability, but more importantly, it provides a list of beats, different events, some positive, some negative. Each player chooses 2 beats before every session and gets a new ability when a beat is fulfilled. This gives direction to both players and game master. The story will progress, and characters will always have an incentive to return to the heart. Next, each player chooses one of the 9 classes. All the classes are original, they're tied to the lore, and their abilities are unique and interesting. Each class gives you 1 skill and 1 domain. I'll get to that later. It also gives you some gear, a class ability, and you have a choice of 1 major ability from 5 or 6. You also choose 3 minor abilities. There's more than a dozen for each class, and each time you pick a major ability, you will unlock 3 minor abilities linked to that major ability. You also have the 3 Zenith abilities for the end game. It's an ability that is super powerful, but will also mark the end of your character. How do these characters affect the world? The mechanics are very simple and straightforward. Each character will have access to skills and domains. When you want to do anything in the world, you build a dice pool, you get 1d10 by default, and you add dice if you have a relevant skill, a relevant domain, or a mastery. A mastery is when you get a skill or domain for the second time. You roll the dice and pick the highest. The result will tell you whether you succeed or fail, and whether or not you gain stress. Stress has no direct impact, but as you accumulate stress in 5 different tracks, you have more and more chance of getting fallout. There are tons of options for fallout. Some are more mechanical, but some are based on the lore and on your character's story. Resources and equipment are also very easy to deal with. All of them are linked to a die size. So something common will be a D4, something rare will be a D10. Resources are tied to a domain. You can use them for some abilities or to acquire equipment and services. Equipment are mostly used to kill enemies, clear stress, and complete delves. Every map of the heart will be different. You will explore its different tiers, visiting different landmarks. Landmarks can be outposts, the lair of a monster, a ruined temple. They're often tied to a domain or two. To go from one landmark to another, you will need to complete delves. Each delve has a resistance score, and you will complete the delve when you've reduced that score to 0. You can use delve equipment, or you can accomplish actions in the story. The game master will attribute a dice size to the actions of your characters to reflect how they can help you complete the delve. A quick word on additional content available for Heart. Vermission Black Ops allows you to play art characters in Spire. Burned and Broken does the opposite, allowing you to play Spire characters in art. Doors to Elsewhere is more lore-centered, containing landmarks and factions related to the city Elsewhere. And finally, there's Sanctum. It contains rules to build a base, a haven. You can then run a campaign centered around this base with new beats and fallout related to your haven. In conclusion, Art is a wonderful game. The mechanics are super simple, but they drive the story forward. The setting and classes are amazing. You want to try a character of every class. You want to visit every landmark. The writing and art are also top-notch. Overall, it's just a quality product, a beautiful book. I'm struggling to find something negative to say. I'll just mention the fact that, like every new system, it's sometimes intimidating to start a first game. The core book could have used a scenario for a first campaign or more examples of play. Final word, I can't recommend this game enough, and I'm looking forward to getting into Spire next.